Hoardganize Podcast. I am your host, professional organizer Rachel Seavey, and it's time to get organized. Hey collectors, today we are talking about body doubles. In this episode, we're going to cover what is a body double, what does a body double do, and who can be your body double. What is a body double? In the movies, it could be a stunt double. It's someone that's pretending to be you. So this isn't what we're talking about here. It's also a strategy, and you can look it up online after the podcast, of course, for people with ADHD. Now, what if you don't have ADHD? Then this is still a very good strategy for anyone that's overwhelmed with clutter in their home. So I will talk about what the heck is a body double. A body double is someone who's nearby who can support you while you're working on your task at hand. A body double is someone who's nearby who supports you while you're working on your task at hand. Now, many people who are disorganized find it a lot easier to get housework done when they're on the phone with a friend, or if somebody's over, and they may have not even noticed this, or maybe you haven't even tried this yourself. But many people who are disorganized do find it helpful to have somebody there. So if having a body double can be helpful for you, this is how you're going to know. What is a body double? What do they do? So the body double, it's somebody there who's sitting there to support you, but they can just sit there quietly, or they could read, listen to music, with headphones on, of course, or work on the same task that you're working on, either for themselves or to help you. I have a client, for example, that just likes at the beginning of all of our sessions, she likes me to just sit there and have a cup of tea with her while she pays her bills. And then we go on to other organizing things. But I've asked her, do you want me to vacuum? Do you want me? No, she just likes me to sit there and hold that space so that she can pay her bills on time, so that she's not getting any late fees or any notices because she has forgotten to pay some of her bills, and that's what she's in charge of in her household. I have another client, same kind of a thing with mail. It just stacks up. I know a lot of us don't like to deal with it. So I go through and I open up all the envelopes for her. I sort out, what is junk, in my opinion, advertisements, things like that. Grocery coupons, things that are not super important. And I sort out, people asking for donations. She gets a lot of those. And then I sort out actual bills that need to be paid and allow her to really focus on those while I'm helping process the others. So it could be really any kind of help, just as long as someone's there to hold that space for you. Now, who is a good body double for you? And like we heard from Bill a couple of episodes ago, and kind of where we first brought up this word, at least in this podcast, body double, is where Bill met Kate through his Adventures in ADD group, which was on Meetup in Virginia, I believe. And they met each other, and one of their projects was to support each other for 15 minutes a day while on the phone, with each of them working on things independently. And I think this is just a super, super idea. If you know somebody that's like you, that struggles with clutter, that needs a little bit of help, that just needs that accountability, I definitely want you to start thinking of people in your life that might make a good body double for you. So if you know someone that you can think of immediately, that would be helpful to you, maybe a family member or a friend or someone from church or someone else that you know that struggles with clutter, I definitely suggest that you ask them if they would be so kind as to hold 15 minutes a week for you, whether on the phone or in person, so that you can get specific tasks done. And it's helpful, like I said, if that person is doing something on their own and kind of needs the same accountability factor, that way you are able to work together and feel like you're accomplishing things together. Now, what you don't want in a body double is you don't want someone that you can't trust. So if there's somebody in your life that's judgmental and just doesn't understand why you can't get your dishes done in your sink, that's not the person that you're going to want as your body double, because you're going to feel judged by them and you're not going to get as much done or be as productive or be as proud. You're going to want to find somebody that can, for the most part, understand that what they're doing is just holding a space, that they're not giving suggestions or put downs or trying to be helpful when they're really not, because that can actually be just more distracting than working on your own. It can be really discouraging. So you want to definitely find someone that you feel comfortable with. That's why it would be nice if you were to meet somebody maybe online like Bill did. And that's where I'm coming kind of. So I started a new Facebook page with the help of one of our wonderful, wonderful listeners. I'm so thankful to him. Thank you so much for helping me set this up. And I'd love for you to find it on Facebook, because I think that body doubling and peer support can be incredibly valuable to somebody that's working on their clutter issues. So we started this Facebook page to have a place online where it's listeners only. I want it to be really exclusive. And I want it to be a place where you feel safe and you could be honest about your situation without any judgment. So you're going to want to go on to Facebook. It's under Hoardganize Podcast. And if you'd like to join a very special group of peers that can help support each other, please join our private group. I'm also thinking about having group meetings and group phone calls so that more people can afford to have the kind of clutter support that they really need. And so I'd love to hear your feedback on that project. And if you are listening to this podcast and you're not on Facebook and you want to be interested in meeting up with someone else who clutters, you can also drop me an email, because I have a new podcast email. It's Hoardganize, HOARDGANIZE at gmail.com. So now we have our own Facebook page. We've got our own private email. And if you haven't noticed, there are some major changes happening on the podcast. Last week, I previewed my new podcast album cover on Instagram. I hope you like it. Seems like you do. But if you're watching this on YouTube, there's normally, and I'll let the listeners know, I'm trying to get better about that. I know not everyone is on YouTube. But normally I had this painting. I'm in my living room. I mean, literally, if you're watching this on YouTube, my dogs are right here. They're looking for their WALK. I think one of them can spell, so I have to be a little discreet. But I'm in my living room. I have two living rooms, so it's more of a formal living room. It's super zen. It's very minimalistic, but I have also been working with a podcast coach, and we discovered together, like, why don't I just have my podcast in my office, so these little guys aren't bothering me, so that I'm not always having to adjust for the light, because I have this really big window that's coming in here, and the light just is constantly changing throughout the day. So I've been working on, I've rearranged my entire office, my collector care office, and I've got a green screen. I've got some blackout windows. I've got a new computer on the way. I'm going to be using some new hardware, some new software. I've really kicked it up a notch for the 2021 Hoardganize Podcast. You guys have been so supportive. I'm just blown away with how many downloads and how many views that I get. So I really wanted to level up for you guys and make it a little bit more high end, more professional. Now, as you know, I'm a single mom, I'm a business owner, so I'm doing this all on my own, but I did invest money in a podcast coach and lots of cool, fun software, tips, tricks, things that I can use to make this podcast even more robust. So I'm super excited about that. We've got Julie Caraccio. She's a professional organizer and a life coach. I know we have a lot of the same listeners because, quite frankly, we're kind of the weird ones out there. We're not your standard professional organizer, and we just love that about ourselves. So thank you for loving us because we're different. Anyway, I'm going to have Julie on. She's going to be talking about what to sell. Now, this is a big deal because we know that Bill kind of got hung up on selling his records, which I'll be following up with him shortly about. But she's going to go into how to sell, if it's worth your time and energy and your space, and how to do it, all the different apps and different suggestions that she's had, because she's actually sold a lot online. So I'm super excited to hear what she has to say. Maybe it'll get you guys excited and motivated to actually sell your things and see if it's worth it. If you are watching this on YouTube, please make sure you're subscribed, click the thumbs up button, leave a comment. I absolutely love hearing what you guys have to say. I love that you're from all over around the world. It makes me so happy to be able to reach so many people. And also make sure that you're following us on Facebook, on our new Facebook page, which is Hoardganize Podcast, where I'll be having a bunch of different things going on there. I'm very excited. 2021 is definitely going to be our year. We're going to have just a fresh new look and feel to the podcast with even more organizing tips and tricks and stories and guests. Until next time, collectors, and remember, happiness is a place between too little and too much.